One, welcome all. It's Wednesday, and that means hot standard action here on Top Deck Productions. We're going to get right into it.
Yeah, getting right into it, and I'm going to get right into it. What's with this green, black, blue mid-range versus blue, black, white control? Those have names. Come on.
Sultai Midrange versus Esper Control. I guess we're going to cast down the Walker. We'll get that updated for you.
I know it's a little bit of an eyesore. But yeah, it should be Sultai Midrange versus Esper Control.
And they're playing fast. Jake Valentine coming down on turn 4 here with Jade Light Ranger.
Neither of them want a draw, that's for sure.
Neither of them want a draw. 3 rounds tonight, little underattended, but that's okay.
All right.
Still got a great show for you.
We got a good one. Search for Azcanta. Did Erik miss a 4th land drop?
I think he did.
Uh-oh.
Here's Vivian to blow up the search and coming in for a bunch. Erik can get back in this with
2 white mana at Kaya's.
Ritual of Soot, if it's in there. Probably not. I haven't seen any updated Esper Control lists.
Yeah, this game's over. He's off of white mana. He doesn't have any 4th land.
Jake's plussing a Planeswalker.
Get a Crassus. Yeah, this is gonna be a wrap for game 1. I don't know how many lands Erik's opening hand had, but if it was less than 3, I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, so I was looking at the various control lists from week 1. I don't think we got any updated action on the list front. And they were only playing like 27 land.
Yeah.
With like Chemistry's Insights and everything, so...
You need to go all the way up to like...
8.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't miss land drops with this Esper deck. So, I don't know what Erik's exact list is, but... stalling on 3 land, you're never going to win those games.
So there's Jake with an easy game 1, pulling it in with the Sultai Midrange deck, which is basically just the green-black deck of old with Crassus.
Hydroid Crassus? No.
Hydroid Crassus.
There are a lot more updates than that. To call it that, the green-black deck of old with Hydroid Crassus is really doing this deck a disservice.
All right.
It's got Hinterland Harbors.
Okay, you're just messing with me. Breeding pools?
Maybe.
Watery graves?
It does.
What about a drowned catacomb?
I can't say for sure Jake's build, but I would recommend it.
Big upgrade to the mana base.
Yes.
To support all the blue cards he's playing, namely Hydroid Crassus.
Well, there are other cards.
Such as?
Well, I don't know Jake's exact list, so I can't say for sure.
What would you play?
What would I play? Blue cards? I would play a Vanifar, just because.
Okay.
He's got negates in the board, it looks like. I know at one point he toyed around with playing Hostage Takers in the main.
Yeah, really into Hostage Takers.
I'm not. Like, the idea is that you get to Hydroid Crassus and take...
Their Hydroid Crassus?
Or you Hostage Taker and take their Hydroid Crassus, and then if they kill it, it just dies because it comes back as a 0/0, or you just get to cast it for a bunch. But the flip side of that is that you take their, like, Chain Whirler or some other threat, and they just kill your guy and get it back.
Yeah, to get another enters the battlefield trigger.
Yeah, you really need the consistency of Chupacabra here.
Yeah,
not in this matchup in particular. Obviously.
No, and I would imagine if you're sideboarding in those pirates, you don't take out Chupacabras.
So Jake was playing Hostage Taker the main instead of Chupacabras. Originally.
Oh,
I don't know if he
I
did
think
or not.
that's almost certainly wrong.
Certainly.
Man, this place is lit.
Just throwing stuff around back here.
Yeah, my headphones came off when I tried to light the other lamp that's on us. These are some serious lamps we got back here, but now this place is really well lit.
Yeah, we're no longer sitting back here in the dark, and that's nice. How do you feel about negates instead of duress?
I am pro negate instead of duress.
Okay.
So, if you draw duress late game, they just get to like negate it anyway, or like whatever counterspell they have for it.
Yeah, but there's one less counterspell in their hand, which is effectively doing the same thing, assuming you're just trying to punch in like a spell.
Right, but negate, they could. It's much easier to convince them to play into a negate. Like, they could just be like, okay, well, he doesn't have any responses to this wrath, so like I'll just jam it with no backup really, and then you can just negate it. Whereas duress, you had to have the duress before they had the wrath.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah. So I think that's true against like.
Are you a duress fan?
I like duress over negate in this deck in particular because you're only using it to try to resolve threats. You're not going to steal any of their threats because they're just going to get something else.
Right.
You're probably not going to have open mana to counter like a Teferi or something like that. So at that point, I would much rather just play the proactive card and in the early game, sneak it in whenever there's a point on the curve when I can, and in the late game, pair them with major threats to make sure they resolve.
Sure.
If you resolve a like a big Hydroid Crassus against this Esper deck, like they can't really do anything about it. They have to use the spell to deal with it, and you've already drawn a bunch of cards to replace it. Vivian's the same way. Carnage Tyrant as well, but obviously Carnage Tyrant's uncounterable, so.
Right. Well, I hope one of our old friends is listening. You were lambasted for your opinions regarding duress.
Yeah, I think it's
Last
much better
season.
this season than it was last season.
I'm just saying,
Like the value of different cards changes as the metagame changes.
I concur. I'm saying that I want people to come around and see that you're not down on duress as a card. You're down on duress in certain situations.
What other hot take could I come up with?
That you can reverse next season?
Yeah, I need a good one for this one.
Are you ready to come
For
back
this
on
season.
Chemistry's Insight? Because
No, not to where you are.
I'm way high on that card.
Chemistry's Insight is better this season than it was last season.
There you go.
For this deck, but I think this deck will ultimately not play it, and ultimately it will be worse than it was last season.
So eventually this deck's going to figure out what cards it actually wants. And
yeah,
then,
I think it's going to become
then-
a tap-out control list, and I think it'll be nearly unstoppable when it does.
Okay.
So, like, you can't counter Carnage Tyrant. You can't counter half of a Hydroid Crassus.
Can't counter Niv Mizzet.
Can't counter Niv Mizzet. So, keeping instant speed up to deal with threats is really nonsensical.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing you'll want is instant speed removal to deal with haste creatures, of which there's a lot more thanks to Riot. But once you figure that out, or if that deck just kind of fizzles out and doesn't become a thing, then a tap-out Esper control list would be absolutely terrifying.
Jake is in the tank here.
He's thinking
He's
about the Assassin's Trophy on...
The search for his Kanta.
Yeah. So the thought
I don't
is,
think it's very good.
the thought is, if Erik is trying to dig for a land,
It's amazing.
yeah, I mean, it gets Erik the third land. But if Erik is just playing it out there for value, then it's not very good because you're just accelerating him.
It's probably not very good.
The fact that he kept that land means it was probably pretty good. And I might have... I don't know if I would
So
have
even
fired
if you
off.
had a land in hand, you would have been that.
If I had like 2 lands in hand, I might have been that one.
Okay.
So you really need double black, double white, double blue.
Yeah, the mana requirements in this deck are through the roof.
Yeah, that's why there's so many lands. Teferi to the bin, keeps the land. Yeah, you should have definitely. Man, Jake with no 4-drop. Well, we got some pressure going.
Yep, under pressure. Another Wild Growth Walker. Here's Vivian Reed on top. That should go. Oh, he's gonna keep Vivian Reed. See, now this is not a card I would try and resolve later. But I guess if Erik knows Vivian Reed's there, then he can't play Kaya's Wrath because he can't tap out for that. Oh, we're thinking about it.
Yeah, Jake might negate this. I think negating this is a really good play because you know, Erik knows that Vivian's on top, so he would want to keep mana up to deal with that at instant speed.
Right.
And if he does that, you know that he's basically going to skip his entire next turn dealing with that.
Right.
So getting rid of this Chemist's Insight now reduces the effective plays that Erik has in the future turns.
Here's Assassin's Trophy on the search, which is going to yield Erik a basic land. Decks usually play anywhere from 3 to 5 basics.
Swinging in for 5.
Important to note that Erik has the blue, blue, white, white, black, black that this deck requires now. With these, he had it with 4 lands. You could cast any spell on the deck. So that's the main hurdle you have to get over when playing this deck.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jake wisely here just swings in for 5 and passes. Erik's going to have to answer this clock.
Yeah, eventually he's got to do something. If I were him, I would end step this Vraska's Contempt. Oh, no, Jake has a play.
He's end stepping flashback. Not
Chemist's
flashback.
Insight.
Jumpstart.
Yep.
Chemist's Insight.
Yeah, I would have end stepped the removal spell if I was Erik there.
He might have a Kaya's Wrath. Oh, he has a Teferi.
Sure.
So Jake can just kill this Teferi if he wants to. Oh, we're hitting the Assassin's Trophy.
Okay. I'm not mad about it. So you're going to search for your land first.
And then you're going to resolve.
You're going to draw the card and have the end of turn trigger.
Yeah, I do see an Absorb in hand for Erik, but it doesn't help if Jake's just not going to cast any spells into it.
Yep.
So Jake swings for 5 here. And then what's Erik going to do? He doesn't have the removal spell to deal with anything now.
Yep.
Jake can just pass. Oh, he does get the untap, so he can technically Vraska's Contempt here.
Yeah, and I think that's what he's going to have to do.
He knows that Vivian's in hand. This is not a... This is good gamesmanship from Jake. He's applying the pressure and being very patient with this Vivian.
Right.
He knows exactly where to take his shots.
Well, if he casts it here, I think it'll be a misstep.
Yeah, I don't think you cast it here. I think you just wait. You make Erik
If
make
he
the
casts
first
it here,
move.
he gets to absorb it.
Well, he doesn't know he has the Absorb.
What? He's playing an Isolated Chapel? Alright, there we go. Here's the
So there's
absorb. We knew he had something.
Yeah. So he was playing around something. Jake has a Fine Finality in hand,
Yeah.
and I think he's trying to get a Wrath going. If he could have played another creature, he would have, but these are the creatures that he's drawn.
Right.
So we have a Vraska's Contempt.
Ooh, Erik might have turned the corner here by being able to cast that Absorb.
Definitely helps.
Because he's going to get to play another counterspell on this Find Finality. Ooh. There's that. Absorb.
This is okay. So we'll pass with Find Finality in hand. We really want another creature in the yard to use the Find part of this.
Right.
But he needs one more land, or one more non-land off the top to continue to pressure Erik's hand, and he'll be in good shape.
Erik's going to play a little, 10-card Monty with his lands here.
And he gets to scry 3, draw 3. It's pretty good.
It's a big, powerful card. Here's the scry 3. Imagine he puts one. If I saw like 2 removal spells and anything else, I'd put 1 removal spell on top. All right.
Kept it to Fairy, it looks like.
Yep. Thought Erasure for the last card in Jake's hand. Man.
With the Surveil.
And the Surveil puts a land in the bin. 2 from Jake.
Yep.
Erik's
I don't know
at
what
8.
Jake drew, but if it was a brick, then Erik has turned the corner.
Pull ahead on this one. Very interesting. Very
Another
interesting
Thought Erasure.
way. Yeah, just to show him a land. That's fine for Erik. He's going to get this to Fairy. And Jake's going to have to start attacking that one to, stay in the game, or Fairy's going to close him out pretty easily.
It depends on his draw here.
Yeah, any Assassin's Trophy Vraska's Contempt. A creature would probably be a worthwhile thing to draw.
A big old Carney T.
Right? He would have played the Carnage Tyrant, so this Thought Erasure is dead that he just drew.
Yeah.
And here's a Thief of Sanity.
Thieving.
This is an interesting one.
Scoops them up. They were lands.
I find it interesting. It's in a control deck. I think of that card as a control card.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty good tempo card if you could protect it, but, I mean, it's fragile at a 2/2 for 3. So it just dies like any shock. But if you're ahead in the game and you just want to, gain this incremental overwhelming advantage, Thief of Sanity's not a bad tool to do that with.
Yeah, it's really good.
So it's a nice, cheap way to put the screws down as a control player, so I'm not mad about it.
Not even mad about it. I'm furious about it.
Are you? Just livid?
So angry.
Can't see straight?
You bet.
Seeing a lot of deck building going on Twitter.
Yeah?
There was a whole thread that discussed...
Are you deep on the Magic Twitterverse?
No. So what happened was I was deep on it like 5 years ago, and then I didn't tweet anything for a long time.
Okay.
And then I just got back into Twitter recently.
Okay.
Like, and checking it every day, and so like I'm as deep as it was. It's funny to see the people that have moved on. Like,
Okay.
I used to follow all the guys from the A team, and like, so KYT still plays Magic, but like Jay Boosh posts mostly about like, I'm a father and my kid shit himself,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So it's fun to see that.
Why would you tweet about that?
What?
Why would you tweet about that?
I mean, I think that's like what parents talk about. Like, they just, nothing else happens in their world, so they're like, here, this human pooped on themselves.
Yeah, but why?
That's funny.
Why Twitter?
I think that's just how he connects with all the... I mean, he's got friends all over the globe, really.
Okay.
And that Twitter's a great way to to make that long distance connection. But the people I still do follow, you know, there's a pretty long discussion about the Teamer deck. I saw a list that was playing like all the different stripes of elves and druids and unclaimed shores or unclaimed territory. And it wasn't clear that, like, you know, normally you see that in a deck and you're like, all right, it's naming humans 100% of the time or it's naming whatever. This one was going to name like a couple different things depending on what the texture of the hand was.
That's probably not a good deck.
You don't think?
No. All right, so we've got Mortify. Oh, geez. He's leaning hard on this search. Take this. Is that an unmoored ego?
Unmoored ego.
I can't see it. It's underneath the Mana Vault. Jesus. What are you doing, Eric?
Well, we'll see if we can get him enrolled at the old academy. Here's a Chemistry's Insight off the top for Eric, and let's just see if Jake can apply any amount of pressure. Any creature will do you here, Jake.
Oh, that's a good one.
Perfect. Finds 2 lands.
Hey, it's good.
That's
3 mana Muldrifter. Any day of the week.
No, so I mean that's a good card there, but it's good for Eric because it's not like the most it's half the threat it could have been.
Yes. All right, here we have the Unmoored Ego.
All right, we're going to talk about these cards too. Like, you can't name Forest on this one. Let's pull up Unmoored Ego while John Douglas tells you why it's bad.
Go ahead and pull it up. I think you can name Forest. I just think you only get 4 copies.
Oh, he could have 4 Forest. See, when I saw 2 Forest go to his hand, I would have snapped off Forest and just allowed him to discard 2 cards.
So here
oh
you
no,
go.
it lets him draw 2 cards. Never mind. Cancel that. Cancel that. If you would have just discarded the cards, I would have 1,000% named Forest.
Sure.
And just like mind warp you and get 2 other Forests out of your deck.
I mean, does that hurt him though?
I don't know.
So here's the
I would have
issue
been the
with
best
these.
Unmoored Ego possible. But since he draws 2 cards off it, I would never have done that. No. I didn't realize it drew him cards. Tell me the issue.
The issue with Unmoored Ego and cards like it, it's okay if you legitimately just don't have an answer for whatever you're naming.
Yeah.
And Hydrate Crassus is good, but it's not something that is completely unanswerable. The problem is you're spending resources. You're spending a card, you're spending mana, you're spending tempo to stop a threat that they may never draw.
Yes.
You don't affect the board state in any way. You don't affect their hand in any way. And Eric's still on 3 land. Yeah, it leans super heavily on.
You're a Mortify coming down on the.
Yeah, just let it die. Ripping Crassus is not kind of good because there's no chance or there's no guarantee that he would have ever drawn it.
Right. Yeah, that's John Douglas's point. Is that.
It doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything.
It doesn't mean anything for him to have 4 less Crassus in his deck. He'll find another way to get you.
Yeah, he'll get like a Carnage Tyrant or something else. You're not dealing with anything.
Right.
I might bin this Assassin's Trophy.
Absolutely. I want all.
Does he have 2 black sources? If he has 2 black sources, I'd bin it.
I believe the blue source under the.
Yeah, it looks like a Water Grave.
Breeding pool is a black source as well.
I'm looking at the one behind the forest.
Yeah. So yeah, if I'm Jake,
Woodland Cemetery, maybe.
If I'm Jake and I'm this far ahead on mana, I just.
Yeah, Eric's
I
just
just
done.
want all the threats.
Eric's just done. This is the end of the line, my friend. We've got to negate backup. We're way
Yeah, and he
ahead
doesn't
on
even have
mana.
to cast spells.
Yeah.
doesn't even need to cast Magic the Gathering cards.
So, interestingly enough, Erik has Thought Erasure here, something he could cast, but...
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Here's an Absorb.
Wow.
On the Duress.
Jake with the extraneous Absorb. Or Jake with the extraneous Duress. I don't know what you would have thought you needed there, but...
So, yeah, in this deck, you've got to play like at least 26 lands.
Got to play all the lands. Like
and
40 lands.
And you have to mulligan to 3-land hands.
A reasonable hand, yeah. He was super dependent on the search for Azcanta, and that was his only play.
And Jake was...
And he was punished for it.
And Jake was... His deck was a little bit prepared for these search for Azcantas.
Yeah.
The main deck Assassin's Trophy in Game 1.
Yeah, not drawing lands is variance, but you can control that variance by keeping or mulliganing hands. He drew a land. He kept a 2-lander and drew a 3rd, and he still couldn't do anything.
Right.
You just can't do that with this type of deck.
Yeah, it's really interesting. If you want to find out how important lands are, go watch Control Mirrors.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my... And, like
somebody misses their 7th land, and they're, like, desperately digging for that land on their turn. They're like, all right, well, I guess I just lose this game.
Right. No, but, like, you'll watch these guys, and, like, I think I saw in a Pro Tour top 8 one time, like, a guy mulliganed to 6, and he kept, like, 5 lands and something in, like, the most irrelevant spell. Like, 5 lands and a cancel.
5 lands and a cancel.
Yeah.
That's a bit aggressive. I don't know that I'd be happy with that
6 cards. And he was just like, okay, yeah. I mean, like, you know, nothing's going to happen for the first 4 turns. So, like, I'll draw other cards eventually.
Don't really need the interaction.
Yeah, so welcome back to the booth. We got the lights on for you. My name's Taylor Gunn. This is the handsome John Douglas. I'll point that way. And we're here calling the 3 rounds of hot standard action we have tonight.
Yeah, 3 rounds. 8 players showed up today. I wonder why we had a lower attendance today.
No, yeah, normally sometimes we get up to like 20. Today, a little bit less. We had a nice attendance on Friday. I played the mono red deck with what? Oh, you want us to read that? He doesn't want us to read that. Okay.
What did you play?
I played the mono red deck with Risk Factor, not Experimental Frenzy.
How'd that feel?
I had never played the card Risk Factor before, and I did not. So when you play Experimental Frenzy and you're looking at like 6 lands, you're like, okay, Experimental Frenzy off the top just puts me right back in this game. I'm going to get a lot of action off of it. But when you're playing with all these lands and you draw a Risk Factor, you're like, okay, if he's not at like 8 or less, I'm not seeing cards off this.
Right.
So, like, I drew a card that deals 8 damage, but that still might not win me the game. So it felt a little bit more tentative than I'd like.
Sure.
I understand why it's good. The deck is more cohesive now. With Light Up the Stage and Skewer the Critics. Both of those cards were fantastic. Just way outperformed what I thought.
Did you get to use the trigger very often? Or the alternate cost?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
All the time?
I think I cast a pre-combat Skewer to just, like, remove a blocker one time against the Esper mid-range deck. And I cast just a 3-mana Light Up the Stage one time when my hand just didn't have anything.
Yeah.
And I just had to generate something to happen that turn.
Yeah, there's no shame in
No, I was not. I was not ashamed because the next turn was bonkers.
That's how it works.
So those cards were fantastic, and with the consistency you gain from those cards, you don't need the 4-mana enchantment anymore. Risk Factors, the amount of time Risk Factor spends being a great card has increased.
Interesting.
So that was good. I played against the Esper mid-range deck, which I did not feel was super powerful.
Really?
The opponent I played against is a very competent Magic player too, so I would assume like he would know what was going on. But I felt I was very easily winning that game.
I think that's an actual really good deck. Esper mid-range.
Okay. I mean, I believe you. I'm just saying I played one match, and here's what I thought about one match. Let's see. Round 2, I played against. I lost to. What did I lose to? Lost to something. Put it out of my mind, apparently.
Couldn't tell you.
Couldn't tell me. Round 3, I beat round 2, I lost to the Mirror, who was he was splashing black.
Oh yeah.
And played what's the black card? They lose 3, you gain 3.
Sovereign's
Bite.
Something like that.
This card is fantastic. If you want to just beat the Burn Mirror, just a card gaining you 3 life is going to do that 100% of the time.
Yeah, just run out some lightning helixes, no big deal.
Yeah. So lost that match. 1 round 3 against I forget, and then 1 round 4 against why can't I think of that? Grixis Control. That deck leans really heavily on Moment of Craving.
Okay.
And he didn't see a lot of Moment of Cravings, and
I just think that deck's not very good.
Sure. I mean, I just think it leans heavily on Moment of Craving, and then later in the game, Vraska's Contempt. Like, it needs that life gain to, like, stay involved.
Yeah. Just a little bit of incidental life gain, but
it just wasn't, like, you know, particularly effective against me.
I don't think there's any reason to play Grixis over Esper anymore.
Okay. Yeah, you don't get the Wrath. The Wrath is the big draw into the Esper deck.
Wrath is a big draw. Absorb can be a big draw. You got so much just random incidental life gain to Fairy.
Sure.
And so you get what? Nicol Bolas.
Yeah, he had the 4-drop Nicol Bolas, and I think I burnt 1 out.
Yeah,
that was it.
It's whatever.
It's
a card. It's a Magic
I'm interested to see if there's going to be Jeskai decks come into the fold here.
Highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely? You think we just...
Highly unlikely.
They had their day in the sun already?
Yeah.
All right.
I just don't think there's any reason to. I mean, if you want to, you probably could.
Yeah,
it just wouldn't be as good.
Right. Well, you get Absorb. You gained Absorb, and you gained... there has to be some other blue-white card that you gained out of the... Of the Azorius Guild. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
There isn't.
There isn't. Okay. No,
there is none.
All right, so there's nothing to see here.
Nothing to gain. Nothing to lose.
Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here. Yeah. Nothing.
Very cool. So we've got 2 other matches going on.
Maybe.
How we doing out there on Matches Spotter? One left. We won't be long, so you guys hang out for just a few minutes here. We'll be back with round 2 this evening on your Wednesday night on Top Deck Productions.